All right, here we go. Have a killer workshop plan for everyone today. I am here, myself, AJ Mirzad from Online Supercoach, joined by Coach Kira Palme.
Yeah, what's up?
She's in the house, and we're both here, super excited because top email copywriter Chris Orachowski is going to give us a killer presentation on email copy and autoresponders. And he is a very talented guy. I mean, he just is a master with words. He uses words to sell. So words on the screen to take money out of your wallet and put it in his. That's his superpower. And actually, Chris has written my autoresponders, right? He has had a significant change in my own conversions. So you must have checked out my autoresponders on Online Supercoach, and they've gotten dramatically better, and it's because Chris has written them. And he's my go-to guy for email copy, and he writes in a very powerful way that is both entertaining and very persuasive. So we're now going to use his amazing genius to take your email game to the next level. Hey, Chris, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Real pumped up to be here.
Awesome. So, hey, man, I'll give you the steering wheel. It's all yours. You got full control.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to give it like a quick overview before we jump into, all the actual examples and the, I guess, the nitty-gritty of everything that I'm going to be teaching. But basically, let's talk about you guys. You guys all have email lists. Maybe right now you're sending emails. Maybe you're not sending emails. Maybe you haven't started because, you're not really sure what to do or what's going to work. Basically, what I want to do by the end of this call is have you have a very solid understanding of what you should be writing in your emails that are going to make people buy from you. So whether it's an information product, whether it's your coaching programs, whatever it may be, I want you to be able to basically sit down at the computer for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes tops, write something that's going to make you a sale. So there's a lot of different ways to go about this. Now, some people like to use an autoresponder. Some people like to use a daily email. I'm personally more in the daily email side for most things that I do. Like I like to just get up or, the night before I write out an email that I'm going to send to my list and then kind of see how it does and tweak things going forward the next day. Some people like to have that set autoresponder so they can worry about other things in their business. And, they have a 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 day autoresponder that just goes out. So once someone signs up, they go through that sequence and then they'll get those messages that are kind of like pre-recorded. Whichever method that you use for your own business or whichever way, you want to use for your own business, the same rules are going to apply. So before we get into the actual individual emails, I don't want you to think of these emails as like sales letters. Like sometimes what people do is they'll try to cram like a mini sales letter where they'll put a headline, story, bullets, close, and false close, and the PS. And like don't make this complicated on yourself. Make this very easy. The reason why I decided to specialize in email copy was because I realized how easy it is to be an email copywriter. And writing a 20 or 30 page sales letter is extremely hard, especially if you want to make it sell it, make it actually make money for you. But writing an email that's 250 words is not very hard. I mean, there's not a lot of ways that you could screw up, although, not a lot of ways you could screw up using my system. If you use other people's systems, you might mess up. But, I learned from people like Matt Fury and Ben Settle, and Ian Stanley is another really top guy that he's pretty up and coming. So these are the guys who helped kind of mold my whole philosophy about email. And so I'm just going to kind of share, the process that I go through when I write for clients and also for my own list when I sell, my own products and those kind of things. So that being said, I feel like the best way to jump into this is just go into, 12 easy formulas for writing emails. And this is not necessarily an all-inclusive list. There are a number of different types, and maybe you might have heard similar things from other people, but these are the ones that I like to rotate through, these 12. You don't have to use all of them, but I definitely would try to use a few of them, and think of these more as like themes instead of general hard templates, where these aren't going to be as like plug and play, where it says, write this on this line here, write this on this line here. It's going to be like basic ideas because, I don't want to give you necessarily straight up plug and play templates. I want to give you the knowledge so that you can leave this call and be able to have this skill rather than just seeing what I do. So let's just jump into it. So with these emails, the first one that I want to go through, the first theme is called the fear and hope email. And we're going to take a look at this email that I wrote for AJ's list. And, being that I know who he sells to, and that's very important too. You need to know who you're selling to. You need to know them inside and out. You need to know who these people are. And the best way, obviously, is by talking to them. So if you have prospects, if you have customers, what you could do is you could talk to these people and ask them about their fears, ask them about their hopes, their desires, the things that keep them up at night, their daily frustrations. And when you ask them these questions, you're really going to find out easy topics to write emails about. And when I was working with AJ, I knew that he was helping trainers who wanted to basically have a more scalable business, so they wouldn't have to work all these hours and they weren't limited by, doing hourly sessions and things like that. So it's actually a funny story. This email I wrote, I had a conversation with my mom, and she was talking to her trainer, and this is all a true story. I didn't make any of this up. This is just something I heard from, going throughout the course of my life. Then I was like, wow, this would make a great email, especially for AJ's. And I told him, I said, dude, I got a great email idea for you. I'm going to send this right over. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I just kind of want to go through a little bit. And basically what I'm doing in this email is I'm playing on people's fears, like their worst nightmares, or something close to it. And then at the end, I'm going to kind of give them, the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to give them a little bit of hope. So, the reason I'm going to be doing this is because I want people to bring that fear, that worst thing that can happen, to the forefront of their mind. Every day we go through, there's a million different things going on in all of our days. We're all very busy people, and we all have a number of problems. And there's a reason why we don't address those problems. We might think something's a problem, and then 10 other things happen, and that one problem we were thinking about gets pushed to the back of your mind. Like someone who, is losing weight, they catch a look at themselves in the mirror and they realize, wow, like everyone at work must think I'm fat. And then like all of a sudden they get a phone call, and then that thing they were just thinking gets pushed to the back of their mind. So it's your job as an email marketer and email copywriter is to bring those fears back to the forefront of their mind, because some people are not going to take action unless you do that. So this email, real quick, I just basically said, the subject line was, how much is your family worth? And I talked about this personal trainer who trains over 100 people a week. And, people are like, oh yeah, he's successful. He's hustling, he's crushing the competition, blah, blah, blah. But then, I kind of talk about all the bad things about this kind of lifestyle, about how he's going to get burned out. He can't take a day off, or his income takes a huge hit. If he gets sick and misses a day or two, his family has less food to eat because he makes less money. He can't take vacations because he's working 100 hours a week, and, he can't just leave his clients. His hours are maxed out, so he can't really increase his income. He's kind of has a ceiling for himself. He can't go after higher paying clients because he doesn't have any time to market himself. If he gets injured, he's kind of out of luck, because what are they going to do for money? His wife maybe doesn't make as much as he does. So how are they going to pay the mortgage? How are they going to do all these things? And now his kids are starting to grow up and getting used to not seeing daddy around. And those are, I don't necessarily think this is being salesy at all. And a lot of people, one thing they worry about with their emails is, I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to be salesy. If you write emails like this, you're not going to be salesy, because there's no necessarily selling in here. It's just, you're bringing those problems back up. You're kicking them back to the forefront of that person's mind and realize, like, wow, like these things might happen to me. Maybe they're starting to happen, or maybe they've been happening for a while already and they need to make a change about it. So, you lead with their fears and you talk about their fears and the bad things that they're experiencing. And then you go into the hope, what they could do to make their situation better. And, I say a lot of, here's the things you have to stop doing. You can't trade dollars for hours. You have to clone yourself, and you have to build a business that's not relying on you. And then a lot of people don't think it's possible, but I actually have this program or this webinar or whatever it may be that shows you how to, bring in 2 to 5 times the income, free up your time, blah, 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 all that stuff. So it's kind of like you start off from their fears and you lead them to where they need to be to make their situation better. And, people will react from that. You'll get response from people who need to be motivated that way. It's kind of like people don't really start worrying about their health until they have a heart attack and they realize, holy crap, I got to do something, I'm going to die. And then my family's going to have no one to support them. And, I don't think it's necessarily an unethical thing. Like some people might think like, oh, well, that's kind of like, it almost sounds like you're being mean, or maybe like you're manipulating people, but not really, because if these people have a problem and I do not give them my solution, then I think that is the most unethical and worst thing that you could ever do for someone. Is if you don't give your heart and soul to trying to help these people out of their troubled spots or the situations or whatever they're in, and you don't let them see the problems that are going on in their lives, then that's bad for them and it's bad for you. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, Chris, this is so brilliant, and I'm so glad that you brought this up in terms of triggering a person's pain, because at the end of the day, people are more motivated by pain, and it's not until You could get into their minds and discuss their fears and their frustrations and their anxieties when they actually need to do something about it. And the most interesting thing is, like, your philosophy on email copy is what I teach my students on videos, because I have a 3-part framework for making videos on Facebook or on YouTube, and it's addressing 3 points. Number 1 is pain. Number 2 is promise. Number 3 is call to action. So when you're doing a video, you want to call out the person's pain immediately, make them hyper-focus, get them to listen to you, tell them you have a promise to solve that problem, and then finally, what is the action? So one that works really well is like, your belly fat will give you a heart attack. Like, oh my God, like, that's a crazy headline. They'll see the text above your video, and then the video says, do you know that your belly fat is going to give you a heart attack in the next 10 years? And you could talk some science behind it, but I could show you some great exercises that will reduce your midsection, and I will give you a PDF. Just send me a private message and I will send you the link. Okay, so it's a very simple framework, but it's pain, promise, call to action. And it's a similar framework that Chris has, but obviously he's a lot more eloquent with the written word, and he's really digging in there. So Chris, yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up, just really focusing on the pain and suffering, because that's how people take action.
Absolutely. I mean, people, what I was going to say later, but I'll say it now, like, people buy with all these different themes that I'm going to give you. People are going to buy from different motivating factors, right? So, like, everyone is not going to buy out of fear. Some people will buy out of fear. Some people will buy out of pain and suffering. Some people will buy when they're inspired. Some people will buy when they laugh. Some people will buy when you just hit them with a good deal. I mean, that's the thing, with all these different themes, is that, you pick and choose what you want to use, but definitely focusing. That's why I started off with fear and hope, and now we're going to pain and suffering, because it's just so important. It's so important for people to be reminded of their problems. Otherwise, they're never going to do anything in their life to make it better, because other things will be more important than that. And it's kind of like you want to make a mountain out of a molehill for them and let them see, like, dude, you're fat, you're going to die. Like, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I care about you and I want to help you. And, the next thing that kind of piggybacks off fear and hope is pain and suffering to a solution. So this one, I wrote an email about an anxiety attack. And this is kind of like a true story, because this happened to me in my life. And that's the thing also, when you're writing these stories, don't try to make them up, because if you try to make them up, it's just not going to sound good. Like, use authentic stories, use stories from other people, use stories from things you hear in the news. But when you use real stories, it's so much easier. If you sit down and try to make up your own story, it's going to take forever and ever, and it's going to look like crap. So, excuse me. This, I'm not going to go through, but basically I told all about how I had an anxiety attack at work because I got in a fight with my girlfriend. And then here's the good. Here's like the meat and potatoes right here. So the thoughts in the back of my mind started to grow. Those little insignificant thoughts started drowning out everything else I heard. I couldn't focus on anyone. People were speaking to me and I didn't even hear what they said. Everything in my body was focused on those bad thoughts. And then it hit me. My chest got tight. I could feel my blood surging through my veins as my heart rate sped up. All the time, my chest kept getting tighter and tighter. I wanted to cry, but I was at work. I didn't want my friends and coworkers to think I was crazy or something. So, this, again, not being salesy, but we're talking about a situation, depending on whatever the market is, might respond to this. They might actually physically feel this pain as they're reading it. And, I kind of got this whole idea from being on Ben Settle's list. And he writes for the prostate market, and I got on his email list just to kind of check out his emails. And he does a phenomenal job with this because he, when talking about prostate issues, you have a lot, like, for maybe you are not familiar, or maybe you're a female listening to this, so you wouldn't really know, but if you have really serious prostate issues, you could urinate blood, you could have pain every time you ejaculate, you could have pain, in your penis and your balls, like in your ass, like, I mean, it's like, it sucks. Like, and as I was reading this stuff, I was just imagining, like, oh my God, this would be terrible. Like, I don't even have that problem, but I was about to buy the book, and I think I'm still going to buy the book just because I don't ever want to have to go through that. So drumming up people's pain is another good thing to do. And again, it kind of piggybacks on fear and hope because you're bringing those problems to the forefront of their mind. And then obviously you lead into a solution. You talk about their pain, but you don't get them all dressed up and nowhere to go. You say, hey, here's all the pain you might be going through. If you want to get rid of that pain, go here. And then you have a link to whatever you're selling. So the next one is a story email. Now, a great thing to use in emails is story. Like story is the number one thing that you could use. I mean, people just respond to stories. Anytime, like go find like, one of your nieces or nephews or a little kid, maybe a next door neighbor, and say, hey, let me tell you a story. And their ears like automatically perk up. They're like, yeah, what? Like, I want to hear it. And the best marketers, it's so funny, like storytelling is like this new buzzword that as if it's something new, but really the best copywriters have been doing this for hundreds of years. And anyone who's ever tried to sell something, it's always easier to do it in a story. And this story is one that I wrote to my own list, and it's about how a toilet exploded in my face. And, there's not necessarily a benefit in that subject line, but like it might be a funny ass story. And I told about how I moved into the new house that I bought. And, it was our first night. We had some friends over, me and my fiance. We were having some drinks. It was a great time. We were so happy about this next chapter of my life. And all of a sudden, I lay down in my bed and I hear this toilet that won't stop. It keeps running and running. I'm like, geez, what's going on? So it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. And then I go to take the lid off and I'm playing around with the stuff and it explodes in my face. And I'm like, it's kind of like running a business when sometimes you think you have everything under control and some big problem explodes. And I said, you're covered in doo-doo water, which, depending on your business, won't happen. But, and then I talk about how we got her father to come over and he kind of showed us step by step, like what to do. And once I understood how to fix it, it was so much easier because someone took the time to show me. And I'm like, hey, if you want someone to show you how to write copy and be good at it, there's this course Copy Hour that I was an affiliate for, and they kind of show you step by step, just like with my situation. So it's kind of like, I make this effortless segue from the story that's kind of interesting and funny and will keep you reading over to the product that I want to sell.
Yeah, no, that is so awesome. I love the story ones because I use those emails as well, Chris. Like it's, everyday occurrences. And if you're just like trying to pay attention to what happens to you on a daily basis, you could always twist that into your business. Like one of my highest converting emails, the title was, I almost got suffocated by a pair of breast implants. And I'm talking about this experience I had going into the gym, and there was this trainer named Diamond with big breast implants, and she was training me. And it was just me like going in to spy on another gym, but it was like the whole story of like she was terrible and she almost hurt me. And it was like, it's a lot more expensive to hire an amateur than to basically get a professional. And I twisted it back into obviously telling them about my personal training story. So it's really being in a place where like you look every single day about the things that happen to you, and then how do you use that story in a way that could sell your product or service?
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect point. Like Ben Settle talks about this a lot. Matt Fury talks about this a lot. And there's nothing ever bad is going to happen to you in your life because you'll be able to write an email about whatever happens. I mean, like this toilet exploded in my face. I was like, Jesus Christ, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is the first day in my house and this happened. The toilet's all on the fritz and I got to deal with this and I'm drunk. And like, I was like, my God, but I turned it into an email that made sales, you know what I mean? Like, and you could do that too. No matter what happens, if something good happens, if something bad happens, something mediocre, you could always link it back to something you're selling. It's just kind of, at first it's going to be a little tough, but the more and more you do this, it's just going to get easier and easier. And the thing is with stories, like, I hate even putting this as its own category because it really shouldn't be. Like with pain and suffering up here, like you could use a story that talks about pain and suffering. Like, hey, I heard a story that made me cringe the other day, or, about fear and hope. Like I heard this really sad story the other day. And then you go into it and you tell a story that has all these elements. And then that kind of segues into the next thing, which is testimonial emails. So like, obviously you're in business, you're helping people out, you're getting testimonials. Use those testimonials. Yeah.
So I just wanted to make a note on the stories because I got a great comment from Shane, and he was mentioning that he loves the idea of stories for selling. It's a soft way of introducing a need, and you are the solution, right? So that is brilliant. And then Scott says that he realized simply taking a great idea to his readers is more powerful than like a random blast or theme like lose 13 pounds in 5 days, right? And actually, once I was in a place where I was understanding marketing and copywriting and email autoresponders, I mean, all the guys that Chris mentions, like Ben Settle and Matt Fury and Andre Chaperone, these guys I read, and I would read their emails, and you see that like they're never just giving you facts. And let's say if you're a coach or a personal trainer, dating coach, whatever it is, a lot of times you're going to talk in facts, okay? So here's a nutrition tip. Here's a workout tip. Here's how to get your ex back. And you're just basically saying facts. The whole thing is people do not want information. They want infotainment. So you want to have entertaining based information. So if you're telling a person not to eat carbs, but you have a cool story in the beginning about a funny experience of you not eating carbs or like having constipation for a week, whatever it is, that'll get them hooked. And then they'll get your information in. So it's kind of like looking at the world we live in. Google, YouTube, I mean, all these millions of bits of information. A person can just go on Google and find facts. People don't want facts. They want to be entertained. So when you create stories, when you write your emails with personality, it is pure infotainment.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, no one cares about why, what 3 supersets you should do. And you know what? The whole thing with teaching, listen, the reason I got into this was because I was a dead broke school teacher, public school teacher, right? And in my experience there, I realized that, guess what? When you force people into a room and you try to ram knowledge down their throats, they start misbehaving. They start not listening. They start tuning you out. I mean, it's like clockwork. Like, my God, it was so frustrating because, people don't want to be taught necessarily. They want to be entertained. If I told you could read a textbook about exercise physiology or something like that, or you could go watch South Park, you're going to go watch South Park, right? Even if you don't even like that show, you're going to go watch it because it's entertaining. And your email should be like that. If you start going on about, complex carbohydrates are good because of the blah, blah, like no one cares. You sound boring. And a lot of fitness professionals do this, and it's not their fault. It's just because they don't really know any better. Make your emails interesting. Make them fun, because if they're fun, like I'm sure you might have marketers, maybe, hopefully, that, they're really good at email and you read their emails every day and you delete everyone else's. And the reason why is because they make it fun for you. And if it's not fun, no one's going to buy from you. And they're not even going to read your email. They're not even going to open it up because they're like, this dude is boring. This lady's boring. I don't want to read her stuff. Like, don't lecture me. Don't tell me. And another reason why you should teach, my most important of all, is because, number one, people commit with their credit cards. And honestly, how many times has someone given you some free advice and you're just like, yeah, thanks. And then you just go do whatever you want because you're like, well, who's this guy telling me what to do? You know what I mean? If they're not committed to you, if they did not whip out their credit card and say, I am ready for the information you're going to give me and I'm willing to accept it, I'm willing to listen to it and take action on it, then number one, they don't deserve your information. Number two, it's not doing any good because you're going to send them this information that is just, it's like you're wasting your time because they're not going to buy from you because they're like, dude, don't lecture me. Don't tell me what to do. But if you entertain them to the point where they're like, I want you to tell me what to do. Here's my credit card, run it, and then give me the result. Then, that's how email should be done. It should be fun. All right. So,
just one more thing, Chris. And because I wrote really boring emails for the first few years of starting my fitness business. And once I learned this concept of infotainment, I literally went back to all my boring emails and I just added personality to them. I added a story to them, a client's testimonial, something that was funny, maybe even like with pop culture. Let's say we're talking about like Donald Trump or Kim Kardashian, right? So conversations on the top of people's minds, Powerball. So I would go and somehow reference the boring ass fitness tip with something cool and entertaining and I just send those old emails again.
Yeah, I mean, it's so powerful. And like I said, every single one of these should have some kind of story because stories, they're just fun. I mean, think about like when you go to the bar with your friends and like a lot of analogies, like as we go down through this course, like I was a bartender for a long time. So like a lot of this stuff, I don't want to say I learned it from bartending, but I look back and I realize like how much of a parallel between email marketing and bartending there is. Like when you're over here in a conversation between two buddies or two chicks who are at a bar, they're telling stories back and forth. That's all they're doing. They're not saying, well, did you know that like blah, 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 they're not giving them hard facts or like talking logic. They're telling stories, emotionally packed stories that are fun and interesting and crazy. And the other person's listening. You know what I mean? Like when they start talking abstractly and talking about weird theory and concepts, that's when people start tuning you out in conversation. So little things to pay attention to. But another way you could use stories is you just take a testimonial. And Matt Fury is excellent at this. Like he'll just take someone's testimonial, copy and paste, and then just talk about what the person said. So like, you could do that. I do things a little different. I just kind of introduce a topic. Like I'm talking about how some people, they get their emails open, but no one ever clicks the links and sees their sales page and buys their stuff because of this thing called the Barstool Statement, which is something we're going to cover in a little bit. But and it's all the way at the top of your email. And I was talking how I was on a coaching call with this guy, John Compton, he's a fit bro. He's a real good dude, and he's starting to see some results now. And I took his testimonial about how he applied what we got from the coaching call. He had the highest click-through percentage he's ever had. The dude's been emailing for 2 years straight. I mean, so every single day he's been emailing, and after doing this one little thing, he got those results to just, go through the roof because he just made this one little tweak. So it kind of like adds proof to what you're teaching. And it's cool to see like, oh, this is not just some asshole just telling me to do X, Y, Z. It's like there's actual proof behind the concepts of what he's teaching. Then the next type is like what to do. So basically this goes along with like not teaching in your emails, and basically tell people what to do, tell people what not to do, and tell people, why they should do things or why not they should do things. And, don't tell them how to do stuff necessarily, because then you're going to teaching and they don't care. And they're not committed because they didn't pull out their credit card. So like here I'm talking, and this goes into what I was saying before about how I worked at an Irish pub and I was a bartender. I learned all this stuff. And, I had learned how to build an audience, and I learned how to, basically offer something free to get them in the bar initially. And then they would refer their friends, which, you want to have referrals in your business. And I go into this whole email about the story about how I basically built this huge following where I had one of the most popular shifts on a Monday afternoon when you would think that no one's out drinking. And I had the whole town of Monroe, New Jersey out there on a Monday morning getting wasted with me, so. And then I relate it to email marketing, but I don't tell you how I did that. I tell you what I did, but I don't tell you how I did it. I didn't say, well, this is what I did specifically, and then I did this, because number one, you're not ready for it. You're not going to listen because you didn't commit with your credit card. The next one is the question and answer email. So this is basically people ask you questions every day in your business. They either email you, they shoot you a text, they talk to you during a training session or a coaching call, whatever it may be. They ask you questions. If someone has a question, there's 100,000 people out there who have the same question. So address it in your email. So someone asks, like, do you have a plan for your email, or do you just write what comes to mind? This is for my email list. And I kind of answered it, but again, I told them what to do and what not to do, but I didn't tell them how to do what I do. I didn't tell them how to write these daily emails or how to plan them out, because that's stuff that's reserved for people who pay and for people who are actually going to commit to what I'm teaching them. So yeah, let me just see. So yeah, I could read some of these if you want. What I could do is I can make this available for you guys. I could actually send this to you. This is kind of like going to be the backbone for the course I'm going to be releasing soon. But since you guys came to this call and you're live, I could give you guys the PDF of this. I'll send it over to AJ, and then he'll.
Wow. Hey, if you're listening, this is huge generosity. And if you want to have a copy, type yes in the chat box, and I will send you a copy. So super cool. Obviously, this is like very valuable information, very powerful emails, being in a position to where you can model these amazing frameworks and stories and use it on yourselves. I will guarantee you, if you were to use one of Chris's frameworks on your next email, you'll see a significant difference in response rate, conversions, and just say, hey, reply back if you like this, and you'll see everyone replies back. So super awesome of Chris, and I'm seeing all the yeses. Yes, amazing. I accept your gift. Yes. So awesome. So keep in mind, if I see your yes, I'll send you a copy. If not, you're missing out on this. So hey, Chris, thank you for supplying this, because I'll be quite honest, like I was like, oh my God, this is gold. I was like writing down notes, but the fact that you're hooking us up with the swipe file, man, that just shows how cool you are.
Yeah, and the thing was, like this, like I said, this is going to be like the backbone for a course. I obviously have to build a lot more of it out, and something I'm working on. But things have been crazy with my new house and everything. But if you have this, this is something I'm going to be selling. Like, this is valuable stuff. And I want to go through and read all these emails line by line to kind of show you like how I'm doing this. And I don't think it's fair. Like there's so much to cover, and I just can't get to all of it in the time that we have. So that's why I figured let you guys have it. Take a look. Obviously, I'll give you my email at the end. You could always send me questions. Yeah, anyway, let's move onward. So straight up sales email. Sometimes you're having a sale and whatever. You just say, hey, guess what? Memorial Day weekend, having a 72-hour sale. Here's the deets. You give them 2 to 3 paragraphs. Tell about the sale. Always add scarcity and urgency. Don't say, hey, I'm having a sale. See you later. Here's a link. Because you need to say, hey, this is going on for 48 hours. And when you're having a sale, email them a few times. Don't be like, oh, I told them once. Like guys like Ben Settle, he sent, I think his last affiliate launch, he sent like between 17 and 20 emails in one weekend. And I loved reading every single one of them because they're phenomenal. And, that's one thing I've learned from him. Like, when you're having a sale, just crush it, dude. I mean, some people unsubscribe, but they were never going to buy from you in the first place, so who cares,
Yeah, so you're bringing up such a great point, Chris, and I want to discuss that because I think when I first got into email marketing, I was just sending out one email a week. And then when I stepped it up to 2 emails a week, Monday and Friday, I got super nervous. I'm like, oh my God, like people are going to unsubscribe. And then the more and more that I read about these $1 million email marketers, they're emailing every single day. And everybody's like, email daily, email daily, email daily. And then I stepped up from like 2 days to 3 days to 4 days. Now I do 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And holy shit, I've been making so much more money in my emails. Sure, I got a decent amount of unsubscribes, but those are people that were never bought anyway. Like, I was paying for them in my email list, but they're never going to buy. So what advice do you have for someone who's maybe emailing once a week or once every 2 weeks for them to step their game up? And why is it important?
All right. So advice. Well, let's talk about why it's important first. So like the thing is, here's the deal. If you get to the point where you write an email and make a sale, why wouldn't you do that every day? You get paid 7 days a week. And the thing too is like, let's just use the number 1,000 because it's easy. There's 1,000 people on the email list, right? There's like one pool of buyers. I like to think of it as like they're in one pool that's full of people. And then you have an empty pool right next to it, right? So let's pretend that every day you send an email, you take one person out of the prospect pool and they move over and they get into the buyer pool. Some people are going to leave the pool because they're going to go home, right? But then there's all these other people who are still floating around in there. Every day you want to take more of those people from your prospect pool and put them into your buyer pool. And every single day you do this. And what happens is you're always adding people to your list, which you should be doing. And you're going to weed out the people who don't want to be there. And then you're going to put more and more people into your buyer pool because obviously, like AJ talked, I'm sure he's talked about this a million times with you guys, the money's in the back end. So the thing is, once you get someone to make that initial sale, then you could sell them other stuff and you upsell them, cross-sell them, sell them all your other ancillary products. But it's not about saying, like, don't think of it like, oh, I'm spamming them. Think about like, oh, maybe today I'll get another buyer. Maybe today I'll get another buyer. Maybe today someone will raise their hand and say, you know what, you're not for me. I'm going to go with someone else. Okay, that's fine. See you later. You know what I mean? Some people who don't have money, they're never going to have money to buy your products. Get off my list. What do you need them there for? You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a bad thing. And it feels like very emotional. Sometimes you get this emotional attachment. Like, oh my God, I had someone subscribe. These people hate me. They think I'm an asshole. I'm sending too many emails. But like, dude, don't worry about it. If you're making sales, you're fine. All right, let's get into this next one. Teaser email. Now, this whole idea of teasing is huge. And I mean, this is something you should use with all, especially if you sell information products. It's so easy to do because obviously, like, there's a velvet rope separating, them and your product. And you could like kind of dangle those things. You kind of open up the door to the club and let them see in a little bit, but then shut it real quick and say, hey, if you want to get inside, you got to buy the product. And this email, I'm going to read a little bit of this one because I really like this one. This is a fitness type one. It's how to melt fat while sitting on the couch. So I about how, I love Netflix binges. And this is, again, true story, right? And I used to feel bad about it because whenever I used to sit on the couch and watch TV when I was younger, I would get fatter every day. But that's kind of why I started my whole fitness journey. And I was tired of getting made fun of, blah, blah, blah. Then, I decided to start watching Netflix binges again. And you would think like, oh, aren't you going to get fat again? But no, I'm not. Excuse me, because I discovered 7 foods that actually help speed up my metabolism, even when I'm sitting on the couch crushing back-to-back episodes of my favorite TV series. Now, I could have very well went in the direction with this email and said, hey, did you know that there's 7 foods that blah, 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 and like just start rattling off. But like, that's boring. Like, I told kind of a fun slice of life story from my own personal experience and kind of related it back to what I want to talk about. Again, using this whole aspect of story. And I'm kind of talking about these 7 foods. And I'm also, if you want to go really deep psychologically, what I'm doing here is I'm appealing to envy. I'm appealing to the feeling of sloth, right? Where people are inherently lazy at, your body wants to be lazy. Your mind wants to be lazy. I mean, being in fitness, this. That's the one thing you have to overcome. Like, people, like, your body is more comfortable when it's resting than when it's doing all this other stuff. So it's just part of who we are as humans. And psychologically, if you can appeal to their feelings of sloth and also the feelings of envy where, hey, he can do that. Like, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to watch TV and, be skinny like this guy is. Then you're way ahead of the game. And the fact that you're teasing and saying, people are going to be like, what are these 7 foods? Do I have them in my kitchen? Are they cheap? Will I like eating them? Like, there's so many questions racing through their mind. They're like, I got to buy this. And just to find out. Curiosity is the most important thing or the most powerful selling factor or selling motivation, I guess is the word to use, that you could use in marketing. And Gary Halbert, one of the best copywriters ever lived, he passed away maybe about a decade ago. He was just phenomenal. Study all of his stuff. But he was on a boat with his protege, Scott Haynes, and he was basically quizzing Scott. He was like, hey, what do you think is the most important thing in making a sale? And he was like, oh, self-interest. That's why people buy, because of self-interest. He's like, you're wrong. It's curiosity. He's like, people will buy because of one bullet you wrote that is keeping them up at night. And it's like an itch that they can't scratch. And they need to find out what it is. And they'll buy because of that.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Chris, because, I mean, I consider myself an advanced marketer, and I understand the psychology behind it, but I still fall for curiosity-driven headlines. If I'm reading an email and like it's, I've been a fitness professional for, over a decade, but if I were to read, hey, melt fat by sitting on the couch, and it was a respected person that I knew, I would open that email and read it because I'm like, wait, is there something that I'm not doing? Because we're always looking for the edge. And at the end of the day, you could be like, well, exercise and nutrition and calories in, calories out is where it is. But our mind is created towards curiosity. We always think there's a magic pill or something we're not doing to get to the next level.
Yeah, and these 7 foods, it could be like broccoli, rice, chicken, grass-fed beef, grass-fed, but you're a fitness professional, right? You know what is going to help people lose weight. And obviously, you're going to be burning calories on the clock, just the way that your body works. So if you could possibly speed up their metabolism by eating healthy foods, then this is one of those fascinations that there's really nothing sexy or ninja behind this. It's just the way you say things, the way you frame things, the way that you present them to people. You know what I mean? And it's that whole idea of teasing them, making them commit to it. Because if you tell them, hey, eat these 7 foods to lose weight, they're going to be like, okay, well, I don't like those foods. But if you say, hey, I have these 7 foods where, this happens and I'm, losing pounds of fat each month because I'm sitting on the couch and I'm resting, well, tell me what they are. I need to know what they are. Well, if you buy my book, I'll tell you all about it. And I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Okay, I'll buy your book. Okay, I'll buy your program. I'll buy your coaching program, whatever the hell it is.
So just wanted to interject real quick. I'm getting a lot of questions, and we're going to actually have some Q&A at the end to address your direct questions. But one quick one was the name of the copy master. It was 2 of them, Gary Halbert with an H, and there's also Scott Haynes. And one thing that, Chris was kind of hinting at, because one of his emails was this company called Copy Hour, and basically how I got good at copy, and I'm sure Chris did this as well, is handwriting the best email and copywriting products out there. Like, let's say a sales letter that converts millions and millions of dollars, I would take a white piece of paper and just write it out by hand. Even Chris's emails, like if you want to write the way that he does and really internalize his personality, you're going to handwrite this entire document on another piece of paper. And the more that you handwrite it, your subconscious mind starts to get the patterns, and then you just start typing them out very quickly. So a lot of people ask me, how did you get good at writing? Well, I hand wrote for hours and hours and hours until my fingers cramped, but then I got to internalize the copywriter's style and how they persuade. And also I'm like, oh, so this is why he's writing this. You get to internalize their techniques, and then you just get better and better. I'm curious, Chris, have you handwritten a lot of great works of copy yourself?
Yes. And, it's changed. I started with Copy Hour. That was the first course I ever bought. And that kind of got me hooked. And it's phenomenal. I mean, it's closed for registration now. If you get on my list, I'll let you know when it is, opening again in a few months. But basically, you don't necessarily need the program to do it. I mean, it's great because they kind of unpack everything, each letter that they send you. But go to swipe.co, and I'll put this in the thing, and there's awesome letters there. If you want, here's the thing, if you want to get good at writing emails, write out emails. If you want to get good at writing a sales letter, write out sales letters. So let me just put this in here, swipe.co. They have so many sales letters. But if you really want to get good at email, get on Ben Saddle's list. And, Matt Fury, he doesn't really send out emails too often anymore. But if you you type in Matt Fury and you go to his website, this is a little secret that some people might not know about. Let's see. So mattfury.com. Here we go. All right. So you go to this dude's website, you go to his blog, and what he does, and he talks about this, is that he writes an email and then he posts it on his blog. And this was an email I got from him. Not that I would copy this one, but there's all these great, he does a phenomenal job of so casually plugging his stuff and not hard selling. And he does, it appears to be a little bit more teaching, but he's really just storytelling and telling about, interesting things and telling stories from his own personal life and clients he's worked with and things that he's observed. But these are great. These are a little bit longer. They're a little bit different style than what I do. But it doesn't mean, this guy's the king of email. This guy's the best email copywriter on the planet, although it's a shame he doesn't really write anymore. But he's an amazing guy to learn from. And so if you want to do handwriting, I would probably start with him. If I was starting over, I'd copy every email on the site. And if you need more, you could just go to on the sidebar over here. Just let me know if you guys see this. He has all these archives of stuff. This is especially for health and fitness. Like you're gonna get some good ideas as to how do I move this? All right, there we go. As to what you should be ways to do it.
I'm so glad you shared this resource. I didn't even know that it existed, but Matt Fury, he's a legend. He's like one of the first guys to sell stuff from emails. And so he's obviously tested over many, many years what works, what doesn't work. So when you go into his archives, you'll see the best of the best. Obviously this guy's very talented. He made millions off selling emails all day long. And it gives you a lot of ideas for your own emails. Obviously don't swipe it, but model his way of triggering the pain, his solution. Obviously use your product and your service. And it doesn't even mean you have to be in fitness. You'll just see his style of storytelling. You can use it to whatever type of coaching you're selling.
Yeah, and he got to the point where he was making at least $10,000 a day from writing one email. And
wow.
Yeah.
It's funny, like me as an email copywriter, I look at my rates and then I'm like, man, I charge X amount for an email. And it's just like, why don't I just, I'm starting to do projects myself, like in the health and fitness area. But it's like, you guys are in the unique position where you can be an email copywriter and basically pay yourself whatever you want for every email that you write, because the better you are writing emails, if you sell $1,000 an email, you got paid $1,000 to write one email. It took you 20 minutes or 10 minutes. He would get emails. It takes him 2.5 minutes to write. And in 2.5 minutes, he made $10,000.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And you do that every single day. It's like, why wouldn't you email every day if you're doing that? It makes sense. But, all right, so real quick, I just want to go through this one, the inspirational email. Basically, I'm telling a story here about, it's called Ditching the Man Bra Once and For All. It's about a kid. He's 22 years old. He's skinny fat. He's got some extra belly fat. Didn't think it was a big deal. He was hanging out at a pool party with his friends. His crush was there. They were playing volleyball. He jumped up and tried to spike the ball, and this fat jiggled a little bit, and some douche named Brad was like, look at his titties jiggle. Hey, Steve, did you forget your bra at home? And all the girls laughed. And this is a relatable story. And then what happens is he started doing XYZ. He started getting big and strong, and he got this chiseled physique, and then her jaw dropped when he saw his crush again, and she was drooling over him. And this is something that maybe your audience, depending on what specific type of market you're in, might relate to, whether you're in dating or you're in fitness or men's fitness more specifically or whatever. But it's an inspiring story. It gives people hope. It's like, wow, I could, maybe these bad things happen, but maybe I could transform like this too. So that's very different from the fear and the pain and suffering, because that's the complete opposite direction. You're starting with the inspiration, or you're starting a little bit about something bad happened, but really layering on the inspiration. So this is another email I wrote. It's called the Chocolate Cake Diet, and this is challenging dogma, or basically busting a myth. And I love this email so much. Not to toot my own horn, but when I wrote the subject line, I didn't really think much of it, but as I was looking at it more and more, this is one of the examples I'm going to show you, but this is such a great way to bust a myth. And this email just talks about how there's all these chicken and broccoli diet people out there, and you don't have to do that. All of my clients at my gym eat chocolate cake every week, and they love it, and they're losing so much fat. And I have hundreds of clients who are doing this. Every single client who comes to my gym does this. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a dogma. I'm taking an idea that people were just they dug their heels and said it has to be this way. And I'm offering so much undeniable proof that they have no other, they have to believe me now. And I just flip their whole ideas, their previously held ideas on their ass. And they're basically like, oh my God, everything I've been doing has been wrong. And this is the reason why, is because I haven't been eating chocolate cake, or I haven't been giving myself a cheat meal. I've been doing X, Y, or whatever. Whatever it may be. You just flip their previously held beliefs. And when you can do that, the bond that you create is so strong. They are going to listen to everything you say after that. When you could unequivocally prove that what they were doing is wrong and what you're doing is much better, and here's cold hard proof about it. And if you want this, then this is what you have to do, and this is what will really work for you, then you got them on your side, and they're going to buy from you over and over again. The last email I'm going to go over is analogy email. I had one of these before, so I don't want to be redundant, but you tell a story, and here's your link. It's kind of like, say, it's kind of like how blah, blah, blah. I was at the store the other day, and this, and this happened. And it's kind of like how people, when they join a gym, they do X, Y, Z. I mean, I don't fucking know. Like, you guys can figure that one out. Related to your product and close. All right. Any questions before I move on about the email types and any of that stuff? Or anything you want to go into, AJ? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. But Scott just had a quick question, and I'll let you answer it, because I guess I have my own opinion on it, but he goes, what works better, long copy or short copy when it comes to emails?
Okay, so here's the thing. I err on the side of being shorter, and the reason I'm going to tell you to do that is because most people suck at writing and they're boring. And I'm not saying you guys on this call. I'm just saying in general, the way you've been taught in school, and believe me, I used to teach language arts. It sucks. Like they just strip all the emotion and the fun and the excitement out of your writing and make this cold corporate, like textbook type talk. So Matt Fury said this too. He said, when people try to write a sales letter, they try to write a 32-page sales letter, and it sucks. It would be much better to write 1,000 riveting words that move people to take action. So emails, like I try to keep them between like 250 and like 450 words. Sometimes they go a little longer. Like usually like on a text page, I try to go like between one full page, like usually every couple lines I'm double spacing. Like you see how these emails are written. Short paragraphs, 2-3 sentences per paragraph. Some paragraphs are one word or one sentence. And I try to keep between a page, like a page and a half, sometimes 2 full pages if it's a long one. So I pull up Google Docs and I do that. And it's not hard and fast rule, but you just got to be interesting. I mean, if you feel like it's dragging on, cut it shorter. Like there's, no one's going to be like, oh, you have to do that. I'm not one of those people who like believes in those hard and fast rules. Like I just think make it exciting and make it fun and make it fun. If it's fun for you to write, it's going to be fun for them to read. And if it's interesting for you to write, it's going to be interesting for them to read. So, 250 to 400 words, 450 words, something like that. You'll feel your own style as you do this more and more. You'll start to get a feel for like how you tell stories, and that's something where I can't put a number of words. I can't tell you write me 250 words. I can tell you write an email, but I can't tell you how long it should be because maybe your story it's a quick story. Maybe your story you need more room to tell it and give it justice. So, I hope that kind of answered your question. Like, I wish I could be more specific and give you a hard and fast answer, but it really, it really changes. But let me see this one. Are longer emails better to send to a blog post? So it depends on what you're doing in your blog post. Like if you're doing one of those blog posts where it's kind of like you write a blog post about, a product that you're going to be selling and you go more in depth, and like, yeah, you could have a shorter email to a longer blog post that links to your sales page. You can do that too.
I just want to interject because like for me, I used to like have a blog and I used to like write all these posts, and I just found I just got higher conversions by just keeping most of the content inside the email, because it's like I just find I want to make less steps for people. So it's like if you have the ability to sell or get a person to jump on a call with you within that email, every additional step, like if you get them to go to your website, that's going to reduce your conversions. So if you could fit it inside that email, whatever action you want the person to take, click this link, call this phone number, reply back. It's better if you keep them just inside the email because, back in the day, blogs were the shit. So there were a lot more people going to blogs. Nowadays, people are busy. So they like social media, or they just read their emails.
Yeah. And if you have it depends on how your business is set up. Like some people who are like more blog content heavy, like Mike Cernovich, I read his blog, Danger and Play, and he does a phenomenal job. He would not email like this. So don't think that like he's a guy who would do this stuff. But when I read his blog posts, they're always very like more long form, more like hard teaching content based, but they're always very interesting. And they have a lot of different affiliate plugs and plugs for his own books and stuff. So like for someone like him, it might make more sense to, have a shorter email that transitions into the long form blog post because that's really the meat and potatoes of where he wants your eyeballs. But the way I look at it is like an email is like a pre-sell. It warms you up. So like wherever you are at in your day, it's going to meet you. It's going to take you from your current state to the state you need to be in to get ready to hear the pitch that I'm about to give you on the next page. So, I would definitely put more of it in the email. Like, Ben Settle talks about this all the time. Emails like talk radio. So this is his idea. It's not mine. But it's a phenomenal idea because he talks about how each email should be like a segment of talk radio. If you've ever listened to talk radio before, whether you're whatever your political beliefs are, it's just good to learn from them because they have a segment and they sell something, and they have a segment and they sell something. And they're these quick little, couple minute segments where they just talk about something interesting. So, that's one way to look at it, I guess. But anything on that, AJ, or you want to move on to subject lines?
Let's move on to subject lines. Yeah.
Okay, so subject lines. I'm going to keep it real simple. Like, people freak out about this. I freak out about this too sometimes. Two things every subject line needs to have is curiosity plus benefit. And this is the best template I could give you. It's not really like a plug and play one or swipe and type, whatever you want to call it. But this is every subject line you ever write should have curiosity or benefit, or at the very least curiosity. And you can make this even stronger by having curiosity plus benefit plus proof. And the easiest way to do this, you make a list of benefits your product has, you make a list of what your market will probably be curious about, and then you connect the two. And what I do is I have a swipe file I add to like every day or every couple of days. I add more. Whenever I find a snippet or a subject line like this, I add it to my swipe file. And I always run through this to get ideas, and not to use directly, but to kind of change around and say, oh, how's this person doing this? Maybe I could use something similar to this for my own email list. And you just want to start collecting these subject lines in like a Google Doc or something. And here's a few of mine. Let's look at this one, the chocolate cake diet. Where's the curiosity? Well, you're telling me I could lose weight via a diet because people diet to lose weight. Like that, that's also kind of the benefit. You diet to lose weight. It's kind of like an implied benefit. It's like, obviously, if I do this diet, the purpose is to lose weight. And then it says chocolate cake. Like, those are very contradictory ideas. I'm very curious about this. Let me read it. And it's almost like, well, fuck you. That doesn't work. No way. Like, I don't believe you. Like, that's impossible. You know what I mean? Like, no, this is BS. Let me at least just read it to see what this idiot's talking about, And they'll open the email and they'll read it, and, you could bust a myth or you could challenge the dogma. This one, Halbert's advice for getting insanely good at writing subject lines. So, like, if you're in the marketing world, you know about Gary Halbert. He didn't really email because he was kind of before that time. And there's the obvious benefit of getting insanely good at writing subject lines. Now, I could have just said how to get insanely good at writing subject lines, but I added that extra element of proof. And I said Halbert's advice, Gary Halbert, the guy I talked about before. So there's all three of those layers. This is a very great email. I got a lot of response from. Not to toot my own horn again, but I'm just trying to use, examples that I've written. Conversations with Ben Savanga and his advice. So, like, everyone, like, he's like the god of copywriting, Gary Ben Savanga. He's phenomenal. I met him actually this summer, and I've had a few email communications with him and, direct mail communications with him, and I study his casual emails that he'll write because, like, he sent me, we were talking over the Christmas break time, and the email he sent me, it wasn't like selling anything. It was just like casual conversation, but the guy's just a master with words. So, like, everyone who knows who he is like, oh my God, you had a conversation with him. What did he tell you? Like, I'm going to read this because there's the benefit. And I'm kind of curious, like, what did he say? Like, this guy's very secretive. He doesn't really talk a lot publicly about the stuff that he's done. He has a course that's $5,000, but than that, you can't really find much about what he does. Smart pills for dumb marketers. This one, again, with like a contrasting theme. What are these smart pills? Like, maybe you don't think you're a good marketer. Maybe you think you could get better at marketing. Maybe you take these smart pills, which are like obviously nootropics, because I sell Alpha Brain sometimes. This is my favorite one. There's obviously curiosity and benefit there. This one, why alcohol makes you a better email copywriter. Like, there's curiosity because, like, what do you mean alcohol? That sounds contradictory. Like, how does that make sense? And obviously there's benefit because, hey, I love alcohol and I love writing good emails. So all those things. These ones are more fitness based. I don't even know how I got on this list. It was, it keeps coming from this, I think it's called Lotus something. I forgot what it's called, but these subject lines are just phenomenal. I love these. Like, eat this every day to lower blood pressure. Like, some of these are very simple and they almost slip right by you. But this one, like, try this 3-minute belly flattening exercise in your car. Not kidding. So, like, you read this, like, okay, it's 3 minutes, it's belly flattening, like, and I can do it in my car. Like, I can use when I'm driving to work. Like, what is this? I love this one. This trick kills bowel problems in 7 days, and fart less too. I love it because it talks about farts, and farts are funny. And, like, everyone's like, oh, this weird trick. Like, you know why people write this stuff? Everyone's like, oh, that's stupid. I'm not going to be one of those clickbait people. Listen, okay, that's fine. But you know what? People make millions and millions of dollars with this stuff. And the reason why they keep doing it is because it works. And the reason why you keep clicking on it is because it works and it appeals to people's.
I'm so using that fart one next week. That's genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny and it's different. Like a fart lesson, like, maybe you don't have a farting problem, but like, it's funny and you're going to read it. The number one fat burning exercise for your metabolic type, different for everyone. So, like, maybe everyone's like, wow, a different fat burning exercise for metabolic type. I've heard about eating for your metabolic type, but I haven't heard about exercising for your metabolic type. There's curiosity there. Drop 5 pounds this week without changing your diet. This one, I clicked this email so quick. I was like, okay, what is this? Because as you can see by my my cheeks, I'm not the skinniest dude in the world. And I'm like, so I'm always like, I got my antenna up for this stuff. and I was like, what is this about? I don't remember what it was about, but I read it a while ago, but I remember this was a great subject line. So 5 places to study subject lines. And, you know, if you have trouble with this, you got to study it. It's like school. If you suck at math, you got to do more math problems. It's going to make you better. Not that you would do that now, but I'm just, you know, using that as an analogy. But study other people's subject lines and like here's 5 places that I'm going to give you that are really good for health and fitness, depending on, you know, I know a lot of people AJ works with are obviously in that realm, but if you're not in that realm and you sell something different, these are great places to learn anyway. Remember, don't steal these verbatim, study them, learn from them, adapt them for your own market with your own stories and your own words. So Agora, one of the biggest direct response publishers in the world, they're a 9-figure company. They sell information products, newsletters, things like that. Did your doctor earn or buy his degree? Splendid. The artificial sweetener with a dirty little secret. The trace mineral that can help curb sugar cravings. Toxic ingredient hiding in gluten-free foods. Are you eating these 5 foods the wrong way? So like these all have curiosity plus benefit. And, you know, when people do subject lines, the reason why they mess up is because they don't have these 2 elements. And like I said, I'm not giving you hard and fast templates, but I'm giving you, here's what the backbone, the foundation for what your subject lines need to have. Bottom line and boardroom, you know, that's Marty Edelston, Brian Kurtz, if you're familiar with those guys. Obviously, Marty Edelston passed away a while ago, but Brian Kurtz, he does so many podcasts. He's a great guy to learn from also. He's not a copywriter, but he's an exceptional marketer. You know, here's some of his company or the company he used to work for. Here's some of their emails that they send out. Food cures for back pain. It sounds unbelievable. 4 ways to outsmart the IRS. Is your spouse making you fat? Secrets to an easier colonoscopy. I mean, these things are almost so subtle. It's like you're clicking on the email before you even realize what happened. It's like, you're not even thinking about it. Like if you are getting a colonoscopy, you're going to read this. If you have back pain, you're going to read this and you're going to be so intrigued by this. You're going to click on it. It's going to happen. Men's health. This is all you do. You go to Google, you go to, Men's Health Magazine, and you Google it. And then 1 second. And then you go over to images right here. And then you have every Men's Health, Men's Fitness magazine cover, you know, and then whatever year, you go back year by year and you look at all of them. You just click year by year and they show you all the covers of the magazine. And you go and you look at these subject lines, and I pulled a few out that I liked. These people who write these bullets, they have the hardest job in the world. They have to sell. They have to take you from not even thinking about buying a Men's Health magazine or a Women's Health magazine to throwing it in your cart at the newsstand. And they do this with these amazing cover blurbs. Like, let's read some of these. 24-hour testosterone boosters. Scary truth about chicken. Train 30 muscles in 30 seconds. Superhero abs. Your 1-move 6-pack plan. 7-second metabolism boosters. Like these people, that's all they do is they write these cover blurbs. They are the highest paid like headline writers in the world because that's all they do is they write these. And they sell millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of these magazines on these stupid little 4-word phrases. And they're the best people to learn from, especially for email subject lines, because think about it. What's an email subject line? I mean, in someone's email, they're going to have a lot of different competing things. But when they see that one thing that hooks their interest, they're going to read it, just like on the newsstand. I love Men's Fitness is the best, I think. I mean, for health, like, look at this. Eat pizza to get big biceps. Like, like that, right? You can't beat that. I mean, I don't know how you beat that. Like 0 out for fat loss, drop kilos, no sweat. Like, so you're not sweating and doing this. Bench press for more sex. Like, how does that work? Easy meals for fast muscle. That one's not as sexy, but it's good. You know, mind tricks that burn fat. Like, there's another one. Like, it's so curiosity building. The curiosity is so strong. It's like you have to click this to see what they're talking about. You have to buy the magazine. You have to click the email, whatever it may be. And then Cosmos, another one. Cosmos probably the second best. Why guys love it when you bite your lip. How to own any room you walk into. The surprising trait 80% of men find sexy. This one, how to climax together. A surefire technique that takes you both over the edge simultaneously. And Hungry Girl's Guide to Losing Weight. I mean, like these, you know, if you're a chick, like obviously I'm not a chick, but if you're a chick, I can only imagine like this stuff's probably pretty appealing. I mean, it's on Cosmo Magazine. It's got to be like, this is what sells. And you look and you start to notice the common themes about what's big in your market. And you could have millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of market research basically done for you by the best and smartest marketers and copywriters in the world by having them do it for you. You just look at these magazine covers because they spent all the money. They did all the research. They did all this dirty work. And you could just look, oh, these are the 5 themes that my market cares about. They care, like women, they care, according to this, they care about being sexy. They care about, you know, owning the room. Maybe not. I don't know. They care about sending off the right signals. They care about, you know, losing weight. They care about climaxing together. And those, you know, like these are just general things I'm saying. But you start to look at like a bunch of these different magazine covers and you realize these are the common things that my market, oh shit. These are the common things that my market cares about. I don't know what the hell just happened. All right, let's see this. Sorry about this. My doc just like timed out.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
So those, you just study these, like you literally like be a student of this stuff because this will make your writing 100,000 million bajillion times better. Any questions on subject lines?
No, I don't see any questions on subject lines. I guess what I'll do is, whenever you're done with your presentation, I'll just ask if anyone has questions on anything, and I'm sure some stuff will come up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're almost done. I just got these other two little quick things. Like I said, I'm trying to go through this as fast as I can.
No, this is gold. This is like amazing content, and I'm realizing how many mistakes I make, even though, a lot of this stuff, like I've known for years, but I've not been implementing it, and you're just like the voice of truth, making me realize like, shit, I gotta get back on it, because I've been guilty of writing boring emails. Like I try to make them fun and cool, but you get lazy sometimes. You're like, let me just throw some facts or go to this blog, and then you're going into like shit. It'll be a lot more effective if I just take another 10 minutes to add personality, add a story, add like a really cool weird thing to it, and that way it'll convert much higher.
Yeah, and I actually I'm not sure if I'm going to make this like a course in the future, but I'll tell you guys about it right now. I'll tell you like the basic ideas, but what I've realized is like going through all these courses and everything, I realized like, first of all, it's really like every course on whatever, like let's just take writing sales letters, right? Every sales letter book you write, or every course you write, 80 to 90% of it's going to be the same stuff, with that extra 10 to 20% is their personal twist or personal experience or personal examples that they're using. So what I've realized, being the thick-headed person that I am, I just feel like this is so simple, it just makes sense, is every time I read a book or every time I see something that's important that I want to teach some way, not necessarily hard teach, but basically talk about an email or use for an idea for a video or a blog post or whatever it may be, I write it down. I write it down on a little index card, and then I have a little shoebox, and I basically put one fact or one tidbit or one interesting thing or interesting story on a note card, and then what you could do, I mean, I know this is not about content creation necessarily, but what you could do is you could just flip through those note cards whenever you need an idea, and you take out that idea and you look at it and say, okay, what case study do I have? Or when have I used this in my own life? Or what's the story I know that can relate to this? And then there's your idea for your email. And then, because it's very hard to just sit down at a blank piece of paper and just say, hey, I'm going to write an email right now. Okay, let's do it. And you're like, shit, I don't know what to write about. But if you do that, if you have that box, it's like a swipe file of ideas, of content ideas. And like I've been using it, it's so helpful because you just run through that. You take 5 minutes, you flip through 100 note cards. You're like, okay, I like this idea. I'm running with this. I'm gonna tell a story and relate to this. And then it's like, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's so, yeah, it's genius, but it's so simple too. And like, it took me like 2 years to figure this out. And I finally just realized like, what am I doing? Why am I just trying to reinvent the wheel? Like, everyone needs to know about these core things. Here's the stories that illustrate the points, and I'm going to connect the two. And then there you go. And you got content, and you got unlimited content, because every time you read a book, you do this. Every time you listen to a podcast, you jot down a few ideas on some note cards, and you'll literally never run out of ideas if you do that. And it'll be easy, because what happens is like Dan Kennedy could talk about doing market research, and Frank Kern could talk about doing market research, and AJ could talk about market research, and I could talk about market research, and we could all be saying the same exact thing, but it's our stories that make it unique and interesting to our audience. And it's our own application of those principles to our own audience and our own experiences that make it interesting. And you can't assume that people know all this stuff either. Like I was talking to this one guy I'm coaching, he's just starting his fitness business online. And, he's like, well, I don't want to make a video like how to do a bench press or how to do this. I'm like, yeah, but the people who are looking at your stuff might not know that. Maybe there's 100,000 videos and you as a marketer know that all that stuff's out there, but maybe people don't know that. You know what I mean? And maybe you need to teach them that, or maybe you need to tell an interesting story about that and relate it and, tell why it's important. You can't just assume they've watched 100,000 videos that you've watched or read all these different articles that you've read. And, that's all into audience building. There's not enough, time to cover all that stuff, but that's just a little aside, how to get these ideas for these emails, I guess. Yeah, so let's go in. I mean, if you guys, if you want to talk about it a little more, we can, or we can go into barstool statements, which is basically the first line of your email, whatever you want. AJ, what do you think?
I guess I feel like people are chomping at the bit to ask some questions and engage. And I'm blown away, Chris. And I'm just reading even some of the comments. Vic says, seriously, good stuff. Scott says, this has been the best live event yet. Seriously, 10 times what I expected. Thank you. So you're just sharing some epic stuff. And listen, man, I can't express my gratitude of how generous you are. I mean, this is stuff that you're charging a lot of money for in your course, and you're cool enough to share it with everyone for free, along with the document and the emails and everything. So, I mean, you know, I'm so grateful for all that you're doing, man.
Yes.
Dude, well, I'm grateful for you guys having me. I mean, this is awesome. You know, and you got a great group of people here too who are hard chargers, and that's why I'm going to do this, because I know that these people they committed to making the time to be here. So like, I want to fucking over deliver like a motherfucker. So that's so real quick. So this is something that you are not going to find a lot of people talking about. And this is one thing that I feel like I've really legitimately kind of created on my own, something that's really come from within me in terms of the emails that I've written. I've noticed like the emails that have gotten good response from myself and also the clients that I write for is they all use like kind of a barstool statement. And, you know, I kind of like when I work with a client or I work with someone I'm coaching, I kind of like diagnose like, hey, okay, I look at their emails and say, where are they getting tripped up? Because there's a logical sequence of what happens. Someone opens their inbox, they read the subject line, they make a commitment based on what's on your subject line to read your email. Then a new commitment has to then be made once they open up your email. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, they opened it, they're going to read the whole thing. It's not going to happen. Excuse me. And the way that you can ensure that they get through your email and they read a lot of it is you do something called a barstool statement. This goes back to my experience as a bartender. Like, I think to myself, like, you know, copy should be conversational. All copy, no matter what you're writing, it should be conversational. It should be very relaxed and like fun and just very natural. It shouldn't be this, you know, very like difficult to read thing. It should be flow like conversation should. And I think like, you know, an email is a quick little conversation you're having with your prospect or someone on your list. And the whole idea is like, imagine you went to a bar, your local pub, you're meeting your buddy, right? And you get there, you throw your keys down the bar, you tell your bartender like, hey, I'll get a vodka club or whatever. And you sit down, you look over at your buddy and like, what's the next thing that you say? You might say something like, hey, listen to this, or let me ask you a question, or check this out, or listen, this might sound a little crazy, you know, and like, or you say, hey, picture this, or hey, did you ever do blah, blah, blah? And these quick little statements that continue to build curiosity, because what happens is when someone opens your email, they read that first line, right? Like this is getting deep into like what's going on behaviorally and psychologically in their subconscious mind. So they committed to read, to at least opening the email. Now you get them to commit to read to the email. And if the first line is one of these basically like continuation sentences, they kind of have to keep reading. They at least have to read to the second sentence. Maybe they'll give you the third too. Now, I don't know if there's any studies on this, but I know my own experience, and I can just tell it just makes sense. Like if someone commits to at least reading the first line of your email, they're going to read at least the second, third, and then if the next couple lines are interesting, you're going to get them hooked. But if they read that first sentence, they make a decision whether to read the next one. That's what happens. I mean, how many emails do you get from like stores or other places? And you read the first sentence and then you delete it immediately. Like your fingers is hovering over that delete button, and then boom, you hit it and you delete it on your smartphone or whatever it is. Because you have thousands of emails you got to get to, you know? So your prospects are the same way. If you say, listen to this, and then you say, I heard this crazy story the other day, and then it's like, oh my God, okay, well, let me listen. Let me read this for a little bit. Let me just figure out what's going on. You know, that guy, John Compton, the Fit Pro that I talked about before in the other email, you know, his problem was he just wasn't getting to it quick enough. And I said, listen, your first 8 lines, you got to cut that out and put one of these barstool openers in there. You got to put one of these barstool statements. He did that. He got the highest click-throughs he's ever had in his life. He's been emailing daily for 2 years. There's almost 800 emails he's been sending out. And with this one little tweak, like this is how powerful this is. It's you don't have to use it every single time, but as a general rule, your first sentence should be short. Maybe not 1, 2, or 3 words, but you, as a hard and fast rule, I'm going to give you one, always have it as a quick sentence to keep them moving, or an extremely interesting sentence that they're going to have to read the second one. And if you are stumped as to how to do this, use one of these. Here's a cool story. Here's a sad story. Here's a crazy story. I found a new favorite show, right? Like these are all things that continue to build the curiosity and get them to commit to reading the rest of that email.
Awesome.
And then, you know, the last thing I just want to go to real quick is like how to close an email. So people are always like, well, how do I segue to my pitch? And like, it should be a natural segue. And as you read these emails, you see how I do it. And I kind of do it in a very easy, you know, light way. But there's this idea, if you've ever read Influence by Cialdini, which, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's the Bible of like selling. Like, not really. But there's one really good point that he makes about congruency. And this is something, again, that like a lot of people don't talk about. And I think this is the most powerful thing in that entire book, more so than the law of reciprocity or any of that garbage. I think it's more important about this whole idea of congruency. And like, people have this self-image in themselves, right? And think about it. Like, if you told your friend, like, hey man, I'm trying to lose weight, right? And, then he sees you out at the bar eating chicken wings and drinking beers, and, you see him, you're like, dude, what happened? I thought you were trying to lose weight. And be like, yeah, he'll have that bad feeling inside of him. He'll be like, crap, like I did say I wanted to do that, and I told someone about it. Like, if they're obviously thinking about these things all the time. If it's fitness, maybe they want to gain muscle, maybe they want to lose weight, or if it's dating, maybe they want to meet chicks, and they're telling, it's something that's always in their mind. It's something they talk to other people about. It's part of their self-identity and who they think that they are. It's part of their self-image, right? Like, I'm someone who's trying to do this. Maybe they don't consciously say it, but in the back of their mind, they think like, this is something I want. I know I want this. I talk about it. I research this stuff. It's something that I definitely want, right? So in order to get people to, people commit, I'm going to read this. If people commit to an idea or goal, they're more likely to honor that commitment because of establishing that idea or goal as being congruent with their self-image. And what that means is that they want to follow their pre-existing attitudes, values, and actions. So basically, if someone says, I hate broccoli, and you say, well, I want to show you how to lose weight and you'll never have to eat broccoli again, they've made that part of their self. They're like, I don't like broccoli. Like, that's part of my self-image. That's something I believe in. And if I tell you you're going to have to eat broccoli to do this, they're going to be like, well, that's not congruent with who I am and what I believe in. But if you say, hey, you'll never have to eat that, it's okay, don't worry, I'll show you how to do it without that, then that's staying true to what they believe in and their ideal and their self-image. I mean, this is kind of like very deep psychological stuff I'm talking about. But basically, it's kind of like getting people where if someone says like, hey, I want to lose weight, and you say, well, I'm going to show you how to lose weight. I'm going to tell you, if you do this, you'll lose weight. It's very hard for them to say no, right? Like, it's very hard for them to just be like, well, actually, I don't want to lose weight. Like, they're not going to say that because in their mind, in their heart, and their soul, they know that that's what they want. So the way you hack this is you say an if-then statement, right? You say, if you want to X, Y, Z, then blah, blah, blah. And I'll give you 3 examples. I discovered 7 foods, blah, blah, blah. If you want to find out what they are, so you too can melt off pounds of fat while sitting comfortably on the couch, go here. If you love chocolate cake and want to keep in your diet while you still get in the body you want, check this out. If you want an advertisement written that demonstrates with undeniable proof how your product works and makes selling easy, then shoot a reply to this message and say, let's talk. And like, if these are things that you're looking for and these are things that are part of who you are and your self-image and what's going through your mind constantly, it's very hard to ignore that. And it's very hard for them to not click through because you're basically like causing, I don't know, like you're like straining, you're causing a strain inside their mind. Whereas like they're being pulled in 2 different directions. Like, well, I should click this. Like, I know I should click this because this is what I want. And their subconscious brain is telling them, like, just click it. Like, you want this, do it. Like, stay true to who you are. Like, I don't know if I did a great job of explaining that. I mean, it's very like, deep when you really think about like what's going, like my whole thing is like try to bypass that whole conscious brain thing and go right to their subconscious and attack what they really want. And if someone's saying that they want these things, say, well, if you want this, then all you got to do is this, and that's it. Just click this page, read this thing I'm telling you about, and you just make it very easy for them. So, I mean, that's it. Like, obviously, I could talk about this stuff a lot longer. I mean, you guys have been on here for a while. I want to get to your questions. I guess just start firing them away. I guess however you want to do it, AJ.
So, well, first and foremost, man, this is like amazing stuff. And I saw a question asked earlier. Let's say if someone wants to hire you directly to, let's say, write their autoresponder, or if they already have an autoresponder and it's really shitty and they want you to critique it and fix it up for them, how do they go about doing that?
All right, so I'll give you like real quick. Let me just move this thing out of the way. So here's my email, chris@theemailcopywriter.com. You can just shoot a message over there. And obviously my website is theemailcopywriter.com. And if you opt to my list, like not that you have to, but if you want to learn more and like see how I do these things every day, I'm also going to give you 3 templates, like actual like plug and play templates, in addition to all this other stuff here that you're getting. And then obviously you'll learn as you watch me do this stuff, but you can go there too, get on my list, and then, it goes to this email. But yeah, if you guys are interested, you just shoot me an email and we'll hop on a Skype and, I'll see if I can help you guys out. So. Yeah, no, and your site is off the hook. Actually shared one of the stories you had about selling, and it was the story about Otis, the elevator mechanic, and that just blew my mind. I was so fascinated by it. I shared it with all my friends because, I mean, you're obviously a person who practices what they preach. You not only teach this stuff, but in your emails, in your content, it's really amazing stuff because you're just displaying this in action. Thanks. you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And listen, there's not a lot of articles on the site now. Like I've kind of been, the site's actually pretty new. I've been just doing client work for so much time, and like that's really been where the focus of my time has been, where I've kind of neglected like my own site, my own products and everything. That's why like I'm kind of just getting everything with the site all up now. But I will be emailing every day, so you guys can kind of see this stuff in action. And so anyway, I guess we'll just start firing away. What do you guys got for me?
All right, so just to give you guys a heads up on time, because we went a little bit over, so we're cruising in for like another 10 minutes or so. I'll just try to take some of the questions right here. However, I know people are going to listen to the replay and they're going to be like, well, this guy, Chris, I wish I'd asked him a question. So if you just go into the Online Supercoach group on Facebook, post it inside there. Chris is an active member and you can answer your questions if something comes up and you listen to this late or what have you. But right now, if you have a quick question you could ask, we're kind of sprinkling questions throughout this presentation. If not, you got Chris's email, or you could post it inside the group, something specific to this presentation. But, I'm just blown away. I just can't wait to start implementing this. I'm looking at like the next few weeks. I got a lot of emails to write, Okay, I don't know if this is a question, but Scott asks, after being here, I'm a dick in my emails, sometimes half a dick. Don't know. That's a question or a statement.
I'll address that. So here's the deal. No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. That's all good. I'll talk about that, actually. That's a good point to bring up. So I think it kind of pertains to like who you are as a writer and the person you are as a marketer and the person you are, when you're communicating with people. And the most important thing also is like, you got to be you. And like AJ talks about this all the time. Like, you have to be authentic to your true self. And if you try to write like me, or if you try to write like Ben Saddle or Matt Fury, like there's things to pick up from guys like us, but don't try to write in the same tone. Like, yes, it's good to copy sales letters to understand other people's voices, but as you do that, you're going to develop other people's voices. And like me, I'm kind of sarcastic too. Like, I'm kind of a douche also when it comes to writing emails with some of the stuff that I say. And sometimes I'm vulgar. And sometimes, like, I don't know, that's just who I am. Like, I'm very introverted, but I communicate like my most true, my true self comes out when I write. Like, that's, everyone has different ways that they're pre-programmed to communicate well. Like, some people are great speakers. Like, AJ's phenomenal video. Like, that dude fucking crushes it. I could never be as good at video as AJ is, but like with my writing, like that's where I feel most at home. And like, that's where I let my personality shine through. So like, if you're going to be a bit of a dick, fine. That's awesome. People are going to be repulsed, number one. They're going to leave. And then the other people who aren't repulsed are going to fucking love you, because they're going to be like, dude, this guy, he understands. He's funny. I love this personality. And like, he's the kind of guy that I'll hang out with. And like, that's who you want on your list. And those are the people you want buying from you. People who are like you. Like, yeah, Dio just said call the losers from the email. It's like, some people are like, this dude's a douchebag. See you later. Fine, leave. I don't give a shit. Like, you don't buy my products. But other people are going to be like, yo, you are the man. I love the way you write. You keep me entertained. I have fun when I read your emails. Keep doing them. Bye, Felicia. Exactly. But like, it's okay. It's okay to be polarizing. Like, and in all of your marketing, you should be, like you should. There's people who aren't right for you. And there's clients like that I work with, and some people I'm just like, sorry, we're not a good fit. And like, I turn down money because like, listen, like you might be a good dude, but like, we don't see eye to eye on things. And that's fine. Like, no one has to see eye to eye on everything. People aren't going to see eye to eye on you, but like, don't hide who you are as a person. I will say this though, try not to use too many cuss words, because like for spam filters and things like that, so like purposely misspell them or do things like that, because that's a little like trick. I'm going to give you something else real quick. I just want to put this in because this is something I use whenever I write emails for clients. Let me just go here. So this thing is called mailtester.com. And like, if you're ever curious about like spam filters, if you got a big list, just go to this site. You literally address your email. You copy and paste whatever URL they give you here in the middle in this box. And you copy and paste it to the send line of your email. So you send it to this email, and then you hit check your score, and it pulls up like how it's going to come up in spam filters. So if you're ever worried about coming across like too abrasive or too like whatever, like using too many cuss words and things like that, always check it there, because that'll tell you. Let me see. Should I clean out my emails? Only 30% open. I noticed the same people. Should I have them subscribe over to a new list to filter out some people? You could. It depends. Like, here's the thing. Like, with your whatever software you're using with opens or click-throughs, like, it's never going to be 100% accurate, because like your open rates, you could have 30% open rates, but really only 4% of your people are opening them, but they're opening them multiple times. So like, it's hard to tell. And sometimes the data is just unreported. Sometimes you send an email out and you make a sale and it'll say, oh, 0% opens, or like some weird number, like it's not an exact science because these programs aren't perfect, but I wouldn't really worry about it too much. I mean, if you've had someone on your list for like a year, maybe just send them a personal email, be like, hey, I noticed you've been on, like, if you have 10,000 people, you're not going to do this, but if you have a couple hundred people, it might pay to just look and be like, okay, hey, are you still interested? Or, I'm going to subscribe you if you don't send out an email, or you could even send out a blast email that says like, hey, please unsubscribe. That's the subject line. Then you talk about like, hey, you've been on this, I'm sending this email out because there's a lot of people who are on this list who don't open emails. If you're one of them, then get off because I don't want you here. And if it says, please unsubscribe, they're going to read that and be like, what the hell is this about? Even if they never opened up, and maybe you'll get some people to leave, but other people will stay and realize maybe I should start reading this guy's emails. So then again, you're polarizing people. You could do a sub list, I guess. I mean, it depends on your list size. If you have 100,000 people and it's really going to make a difference if you get, half those people off who've never opened up your emails, then yeah, probably that makes sense. But by Felicia by the busload at this point. But, it depends. I mean, who knows? Sometimes people will, it'll take 2 months, but then they'll finally start opening your emails and read them. I mean, you never know with email. So it's something, you really kind of gotta see, based on your list size, based on how much money. If money is not an issue, then I wouldn't really worry about it that much for now. I guess that's what I'm saying.
All right. So cool. So, I mean, this, an insane level of value. And like I said, I truly believe that Chris is the man. He's an expert. Like you're saying, I'm good at videos, but I suck at emails, It's like everyone has different strengths, and Chris is the expert, and that's why I had him write my emails, and they started converting like a mofo. So I highly recommend, if you have an autoresponder that's not converting well, or you want yours to be critiqued, or you have zero autoresponder and you want a professional to write it out, hit up Chris. You got his email. He'll jump on Skype, do critique with you. Like I said, he's my go-to guy, and you can see he's very, very talented and master at his craft. So please, I'm going to cut this call a little short because we're going past 90 minutes, but we're going to have the replay. If you wrote yes in the comments, I will send you the PDF. And most importantly, in the Online Supercoach Facebook group, please give Chris a shout out. If you found this valuable, just please give him a shout out, tag him, or even tag him on his page. He's totally cool with that, but just let him know what you got out of this. Like I said, he took a lot of his time and effort in many, many years. He charges a lot of money for this, and he did it for us for free out of the kindness of his heart, and I'm just really grateful for that. So please just show him your gratitude. So, Chris, you are the man.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. This was awesome. And also one more thing too, listen, if you might get off this call and be like, oh crap, there's this question, and you think about it 10 minutes later or 3 hours later, just shoot it over to me. I'll answer any questions you guys got. So I want to make sure, you guys take action. I know, if you guys follow AJ, you guys must be ass kickers. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. And let me know how you guys do.
Thanks, Chris. You're the shit. So much value.
So you got his email, chris@theemailcopywriter.com. Hit him up. But like I said, social media is awesome because other people get to see. And if Chris is down with it, we'll do another workshop together and go even deeper into this stuff because I'm sure this is like the tip of the iceberg. So, hey, guys, show some love, and we'll do this again.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Peace.